We've got an interview up next. Lance talks to LeeAnna Jonas from Spirit Realm Investigative Project. They're going to be on My Ghost Story to air March 30th. Lance is going to be talking to her in just less than a minute, so hang out.
Take a deep breath and relax as we check your paranormal pulse.
Hello, folks. Tonight I have a very special guest with me. Her name is LeeAnna Jonas, and she's from Spirit Realm Investigative Project. You may have seen them on Paranormal Challenge on the USS Hornet episode, and they will be featured on My Ghost Story coming up on March 30th, episode number 60. So without further ado, here's LeeAnna.
Hey, how's it going tonight? Thanks for having me on.
Very good, and we're very happy to have you here. So, obviously you were on Paranormal Challenge, and can you tell us a little bit about your team first, and then your experience on that show?
Sure, no problem. We have a 3-girl team. We specialize in the mining towns of Colorado, and we've been together since October 2011, or I should say 2010, excuse me. We frequent a lot of the same locations in the area of Central City, Colorado, Blackhawk, and Morrison, and we've found that a lot of the spirits do rotate within that realm of that town. We've got a lot of EVPs of the same spirits telling us their story, so it's kind of a unique situation. We did get to go on the Paranormal Challenge, and that was the USS Hornet. Unfortunately, we didn't find out until a Wednesday, and we had to be there on a Monday. We took off on a Friday afternoon and drove out there. It was a very stressful situation because, you're not used to having people watching every move you make and listening to everything, and a camera crew and judges. So it was quite the experience, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was fun. It was stressful, but it was fun.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of people are going to kill me if I don't ask you this. So what was Zach Baggins actually like? And how much time did you really get to spend with them, with him and Dave Schrader and what?
No time at all.
Really?
No. Dave was pretty much hands-off. You weren't allowed to talk to him. Zach, I've met Zach before, even before I had the team. We didn't know each other personally like that, but I met him a couple times at different events, paranormal events, and I ran into him in Vegas. And it was just very cut and dry. This is what we're going to do. He did take us to the side, though, and he asked us not to provoke the spirits, which I'm sure a lot of people would be surprised.
Absolutely.
He said that, hey, these were people that fought for our country, and I want them to have respect. And I said, Zach, I don't operate that way. We never do. We're a non-provoking team. So I said, don't worry about that on our end. Now, what he said to the other team, I don't know, because they came off a lot different than we did. So
right.
I'm not sure if that was set up that way or not. It is
right.
TV.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but he was a real swell guy, and Billy and all of them were great. But we never really got to meet any of the judges at all.
Actually, I have a couple questions about the team first before we get on to your current projects going on. You are an all-girl team.
Right.
And that's something, honestly, there are some, but not a lot of all-girl teams out there. So that's got to be unique for you. I think overwhelmingly, the majority of investigators out there are men, although there are some excellent female investigators, and, we have 2 females on our team, and they do great jobs. But is it difficult being an all-female team?
The only difficult part is usually people don't take us seriously. I'm usually the person that goes out and books the investigations, and I'm very personable and respectful, so that works. On one hand, they feel comfortable with me, and then on the other hand, I think they're like, I don't know about this. But what works for us is the fact that I feel that women are, I'm not cutting down guy investigators, I'm sure they're fine, but I think that women are more intuitive and more, just have that sixth sense to them.
Actually, that was going to be my follow-up question. And I have noticed, from doing this for a very long time, that because your team is a mixture of spiritual and scientific, so.
Right.
But I have noticed over the years in my findings that more of the females I've worked with have a tendency to be sensitive, and more of the males have a tendency to be more scientific in nature. Not always the case, because I have one gentleman who I work with who is a sensitive, but for the most part, I've always found that more females are sensitive, and I've always wondered why that was.
I don't know if it's just a motherly instinct that, we're all kind of wired differently. Men are more hands-on and women think more as far as, worrying and
Right.
really think out everything just in normal life. But all of us are into the scientific aspect because we do want to be able to prove to those skeptics out there, because usually they can't wrap their head around it unless they see it in front of their face, either personally or on TV with some kind of actual, footage or,
Right.
so, it's an odd situation, but, we're really into backing up everything with solid evidence. We won't put anything out there that we don't feel is paranormal or we can't explain. It's just where we're at, we usually run into a lot of female spirits. A lot of prostitution went on in the mining towns, and children. The majority of the children that died in those towns died of scarlet fever. So we really connect with the little kids on that level, and I think it's because we don't scare them. I mean, they hear us as women. We're not provoking. We don't have the deep voice or anything, so I think that they can connect with us a lot easier. Granted, there's going to be problems when you got three girls together. I mean, that's just, because we're wired differently totally, and but you have to learn to work around those differences and try to come together and communicate. And it's worked for us, and we're gonna keep on going the way we are because we like it the way it's working.
That's great. And one of the things one of the theories that I have had, and you can let me know what you think on this one. One of the things that this field misses in a lot of cases is compassion for the spirits that are out there. We forget that these were people at some point, and I think, just in my opinion, a lot of the female investigators have that compassion much more than men do. I think that's one reason why I think too that they're a little bit more intuitive and sensitive.
I totally agree with you. The way that we look at it as a team, and just because we've gotten to know a lot of these spirits and some of their stories, and we've crossed over. We also have an angel reader that works with us. We crossed over a little boy, and any spirits that ask for that help, we will help them. We do have a lot of compassion. We don't provoke. We only really run into a couple nasty guys, but, for the most part, we're very respectful. And you're right, they were people. And people, it just seems like there's so many teams out there, or there's wannabes that come up from the ranks, and they think that that's the only way you're going to get anything is to be disrespectful or provoke. And they just don't realize that these were people. This was your grandmother. This was your father. This was Joe Blow down the street. Not everybody's a serial killer. Not everyone's demonic. You are going to run into good spirits, and you need to remember that, and we do. So that's why I think we get a lot of the responses we do and the evidence we do, because they feel comfortable with us, and they're showing us respect just like we're showing them respect. It goes both ways.
That's great. That's great. Real quick, I just want to let everybody know out there, again, this is LeeAnna Jonas from Spirit Realm Investigative Project, and you can find them on Facebook.com, Spirit Realm Investigative Project. Also, you can check out their evidence on YouTube.com/user/SRIP3. And you can check out, again, some of their evidence on there and follow them. And, you can subscribe to their page there, subscribe to, like their Facebook page and keep up with what they're doing. So now, as far as your team, you're the founder of the team and the lead investigator, and reading your bio, you're a sensitive, and then you have Tawny, who's a sensitive and a tech manager, and then you have Allie, who's a Wicca medium and a healer. Now, as far as how you mesh together, obviously, like you said, you have a lot of different personalities and you're blending together. It's interesting to see that you have someone who's a tech person, someone who's sensitive, and then someone who's a Wiccan medium and healer. So tell me about the mix there and the dynamic that you have.
Well, the one thing all of us do have in common is we all have experienced the paranormal since children. All three of us saw apparitions, saw our family members, and various different stories between the three of us. And it's just grown throughout our life. And it just seems like we have that respect for the paranormal from way back when, and we want those questions answered. Sometimes Tawny's more of a skeptic than myself or Allie, Allie was never really into a lot of the shows, so she's not into the para-celeb area. She doesn't know a lot about the movers and shakers and all the dynamics of that. She's
Right.
more into her Wicca area and her healing. So when we brought her in, she's never used any of our equipment, so that was all new to her. So she was like a kid in a candy store. And then myself, I've been following the paranormal all my life, and I'm really big into the technical aspect and the shows and such and learning. So we all kind of have different bits and pieces. We find that the more we do this, the more sensitive we all become. I could tell you just from a year ago, I can start feeling and sensing things that I could not a year ago. It's grown that much.
Right.
So all between us, the dynamics just seem to gel well because we all have different thoughts on things and we all talk about it. You know, if we want to try a certain technique, well, guys, what do you think? You want to do it this way? Yeah, let's try it this way. Or, you know, one thing about where we go, the obvious is a huge part of our investigating. For some reason, the spirits really know how to manipulate that. And it's really putting together a puzzle because you can't get a full sentence all the time. You get bits and pieces. So it is truly like being a detective or an investigator to try to put those pieces together in the stories and try to figure out who you're talking to, what they're trying to say. But for the most part, we just work really well. We respect each other's ideas, and we just keep on plugging along.
Excellent, excellent. Now, as far as the upcoming show, you're going to be on My Ghost Story. Without spoiling it for everybody, because we all want to tune in and watch it, can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect?
Sure. I can tell you it's based at an 1800s courthouse and jail. The main character was a man who works there named Josie Wales, believe it or not. And Josie has basically connected with one of the dark entities in the jail. It's no longer used as a jail. It was built back in the day, and it only has like 4 cells on one side and 1 on the other, a male and a female side. And just the stories of the people who were there and who have died and the activity and the folks that work there on a regular basis and recognize these spirits and have no problem. I mean, some are scared and some have no problem with them at all. They feel comfortable with them. In fact, some of these spirits do follow these folks home, and they realize that. A lot of the whole town understands that because it's so haunted. This is going to show an aspect of the evidence that we've got and the stories that happen in that building that reflect that, and the man that's still having issues with the dark entity to this day. Hopefully we're going to get him cleansed here at some point once he quits working there, but right now he just keeps on going into the environment, and he likes the relationship he has with the spirit, but it's starting to affect his life.
Right.
So hopefully most of that will come out. Unfortunately, Ghost Stories, they're going to edit what they want.
Right.
So it's just as much a surprise to us as it is to you is how much they cut down, and we found that with the Paranormal Challenge, too. There were so many things that people didn't see. But that's just part of TV, and that's the way it is. You're kind of at a mercy. Once you're there, you do the shoot, and then you never see anything until it airs.
Yeah, we've experienced that firsthand with not us being on TV, but we've investigated a few of the same locations that Ghost Lab did and that Ghost Hunters did, and it's amazing to find out how many hours of investigating they've done to cut it down to 23 minutes of TV. And, you know, just to find out what they left out. And, you know, I was listening to Barry Kling from Ghost Lab talk about how they would actually take things and show them out of sequence because they wanted to make a complete story. And it's just amazing to hear how much they, you know, how they do it. I mean, we investigated the Burlington County Prison Museum and found out that when Ghost Hunters were there, they were there for 4 nights over 2 weeks. They were there for 2 days, left, came back for 2 days. And when you see it, it's only a 23-minute segment. So it's amazing, you know, how much they did just to get down to that point.
Well, what's really kind of sad, though, in a way, I mean, you know, like the guys from GAC, they've got control, so they edit their own stuff. They pick out what they want to put in the show. But a lot of these guys, they don't get that opportunity. It's the networks doing it, the production company. So you got some guy in a booth cutting this stuff down, and he may not know a whole hell of a lot about ghost hunting.
Right, right.
So, you know, that's what happened with us when they laid out from what I had told them, because first you go down to L.A. and you just do a one-on-one interview. and it's only 2 people. It's not even the whole team. So they get bits and pieces, and then they write it up. They send a guy out here with only one guy, camera guy, and then he's like, okay, we have to do this, this, and this, and he has no idea. And I'm looking at that going, no, that didn't happen that way, no. And I stuck to my guns, like, no, this is the sequence that was happened, and this is what happened, and I'm sticking to it. So at least I got some control over it, but a lot of these guys don't get that, and it's a shame because they do put a lot of effort into their investigations, and then they're all cut down. And there's probably some really good stuff that they should keep in, but then they have to make that choice of what they're going to keep and what they're not.
Right. You've done over 50 investigations, and what would you say the most fun location or your favorite location is?
Wow, there's a lot of them. Ooh. Well, the scariest one was definitely the one you'll see on my ghost story, because that entity is basically still following one of my team members. The most fun, I would say, was probably the Mountain Menagerie, which is an 1800s building. We ran into so many different spirits there, mainly little children. We've got some great EVPs of kids. And also in the very top, we ran into a gentleman that said, "I don't want you here." And that's basically how he said it.
Right. Excellent.
So, we have fun anywhere we go. We're serious, but then we try to have some kind of fun. We role play sometimes to get these guys in the mood. We'll sing songs or replay dancing. Tawny got out on a bar one night and pretended to be a can girl, because that's what they used to do.
Right.
So we try to put their environment back into how it was when they were around. So,
right.
There's just so many in that town that we've done, but it's pretty much been a good ride so far, and it's been really fun.
That's great, and that's the key. You really need to do it. You need to have fun with it. There's no other way, because if you're not having fun, it's not worth doing. Now,
right.
Next question: what's your favorite piece of equipment?
I myself am very, very partial to the Ovilus and the voice recorder. I mean, the voice recorder is number one because you actually get their voices. Ovilus, just because they know how to work it. Almost every location I've gone, I've never had a problem with the Ovilus. And I mean, when they get on a roll, they get on a roll.
Right.
And now Bill Chow just came out with a new unit that is combining the display, the Ovilus, and a millimeter.
Pre-ordered it the first day, so...
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
As soon as I got that email, I grabbed on that.
Same thing. I had done the pre-order on the ITC EMF device as well. I pre-ordered that. That I have already and been kicking that around. We actually took it out in the last investigation, so... Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm a big tech geek, so pretty much everything that comes out I wind up having. I actually probably have more gear than most of the TV teams. So... And that's what I'm really known for. But the last question I have for you is, we play a little game on this show called Paranormal Lifeboat. You're the captain of the lifeboat. The lifeboat only has 2 seats in it, okay? But you have 3 people to choose from. You can only save 2 of them. Who would you save? We're going to use the Ghost Adventures crew. Would you save Aaron, Zach, or Nick? Who would be left behind to drown in the water if you had to?
Well, I'm saving Aaron first thing, because Aaron's my buddy. I like Aaron. We've spoken a lot through events. So what you're saying is I'm in the boat.
You're the captain.
And I only have
2 more seats.
2 life preservers, and I have to save 3 people.
Well, you have 3 people you can save. So 1 person's going to get left behind in the water, and 2 are going on the lifeboat.
Well, I like Nick, but I don't feel a connection with Nick. I know there's a lot of people that have issues with Zach, but Zach's always been kind to me, and I met him way before I even got involved in this in Vegas one night, and he was excellent, very nice man. So I'm going to save Zach and Aaron, and I guess old Nikki's going to have to
Don't feel bad. I gave the exact same answer, basically.
Did you?
Yes. My co-host Chris, who's not on the line with us tonight, she dumped Aaron into the water, and I just felt bad about that. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here, and I really appreciate you coming on. And again, my guest tonight has been LeeAnna Jonas, and her team is Spirit Realm Investigative Project, and you can find them on Facebook at facebook.com, Spirit Realm Investigative Project. You can find their videos on youtube.com, user/SRIP3. And we look forward to seeing you on my ghost story on March 30th.
Well, thanks for having me on, and everyone check it out, and we appreciate your support. Support us girls. There's not many of us out there, so
Absolutely.
we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.